guys, it's the Guitar Ninja. I actually have never done a podcast style video before, so this is really out of key, but even more unusual, I have somebody with me. So, new to the Guitar Ninja, we now have Bear.
Hello guys, I'm the Bear and I'm a new employee of Guitar Ninja. I'll be taking over the social media, I'll be taking over most of the social side of everything, so the academy, Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. So look forward to that.
It's gonna be entertainment.
Yeah.
To be fair, you've got your grips around editing pretty fast, and I'm pretty sure they're going to notice because I'm not editing this one. There's a reason I've got you. I'm not going to do it myself. Cool. Okay, so as a fun way to introduce the Bear to you all, and just to kind of give him a video that seemed to have a bit more information in it, I thought I'd get him to write a load of questions for me, both as his boss, as the Guitar Ninja, as a touring musician, and just as a general personal friend. So my new employee can get to know me better, but also you guys can get to know me better and get to understand a bit more on what you want to know. You know, hopefully get to know you through the questions you ask. Cool, so you've got a list of questions.
Yes, just some pointers, I guess. So the first question I have here, what is your greatest fear about hiring somebody?
First of all, just being a bad boss. So the biggest fear is that you will see me as the boss that just dictates what to do. I definitely feel like being a boss is a similar path to being a parent. Like, even if you were older than me, I'd still see it in that same light, that I should lead by example. Mm-hmm. So if I'm not busy enough during the daytime when you're around, I feel like I'm giving a bad example. But luckily, we've had the open conversations about the fact that I then have another job of teaching after you finish work. But I tried to make sure that I'm active. I know what it's like to just feel like a number, and I would never want to do that to any employee. So I think that's my biggest fear is, and now that you've been here 1 week? Yeah, now that you've been here a week, I feel a lot more relaxed on that because I've seen the way that we've worked together. There was also a fear because the business isn't big enough to have a massive group of things that whoever I bring in as the first person, you are 50% of the workforce. So if you weren't good at your job, or if we had a problem, or you didn't want to learn, then all of a sudden 50% of the business is a problem potentially. So yeah, they were definitely my biggest fears. Where either we wouldn't get along and you were just good in an interview, or I would end up being a bad boss.
That's fair enough. Understandable. Don't worry, you're a good boss. The best boss I've had. I've had a few, but definitely one of the best.
Yes. You get to play with cameras and guitars.
Yeah, I get paid to play with guitars for half an hour a day, and I get to play with cameras and editing. It's great. This is the most fun job I've ever had. So, should we move on to the next question?
Yeah, do it.
What do you feel, as currently you've only been my boss for a week, is there anything you feel like you need to improve on?
Myself or yourself?
Yourself.
What I need to improve on? My own time management of myself while still being your guide. Because obviously the creative industry business that we're in, we very much, I need to teach you a lot of things and I need to teach you styles. So it's not even like I can go, here, just look at this. The only way I can really do that is, here, study all my old YouTube videos and see if you can work out how they work. So I know that at the moment I very much need to be your teacher that's over your shoulder. I can leave you to do things once I've shown you, but as soon as the next thing comes up, I need to show you again. And it's managing my own tasks and times around that. Yeah. I knew your first 2 weeks I was going to need to teach you a lot. But I didn't realise I wouldn't be able to get into focus on my tasks that I need to do as well. I thought I'd be able to do that and I haven't balanced that right. So yeah, for myself, that's the biggest thing I need to work on at the moment. But as you get better, I think naturally that's going to then become easier anyway.
True. So, as an employee, what do you think I need to improve on?
Well, let's see. I personally from myself as a boss, you learn things really quick. You've gone out of your own way for initiative to research things you've been unsure about. You've been willing to stay later and not asked for pay for it. You've come in early. If anything, I'd say the first thing you want to do, the only thing I'd suggest, is actually for yourself, is know that limit on what extra amount you're willing to put in. Because for me, it's different because we're a smaller team of just 2.
Yeah.
But if there's a bigger group of people, I've made the mistake before where I've tried to be the most helpful employee ever, and then the boss expects that ongoing. And it means that if you stop doing extra hours for free, all of a sudden it's seen as a problem. And it's like, well, wait a second, no, you should never expect more hours. So I'm keeping an eye on that I never do that. But for yourself, if you were to not be working for me and somebody else, I'd say to keep an eye on when do you start, when do you stop, and make sure you're not going to let them even though you're the one doing it. Yeah, so actual improvements as for whilst you're here, you crack on with things, you pick things up fast, you work on it, and you take it in. At one point I caught myself just saying no to one of your ideas really quickly because I had done the process in my head. I didn't explain it, you didn't take it personally, you came back with a solution to the problem. So this early on, there's literally, I don't think there's anything I can knock.
Good.
Genuinely, I'd be completely open if there was. No, we'll just see where it goes. Perhaps we combined are very good at talking about something that could have been spoken about in 1 minute and takes us 10.
Yeah.
But that's a combined thing, not a you thing.
Yeah, we tend to go on rants quite a bit.
Probably hence the reason why a podcast style video is not a bad idea. Okay, should we jump on to the next question, or have you got more?
I do have more questions, but so for the business, and I'll ask you for yourself.
Okay.
What are your goals for the Guitar Ninja in a year?
In 1 year's time.
Yeah. What do you hope to accomplish by then?
Okay, so that's actually a really good question because these ideas do dart back and forth a little bit nowadays. So I used to very much go, I need a clear 10-year plan on what I'm going to do. And I had that, and then I realised that I'd been working these 12, 14-hour days in isolation, even when it wasn't necessarily lockdown. I was still like I was in lockdown because I was working to get these things out, and realised that whilst that might help me reach a 10-year goal, if it's still me doing it that whole time, I'm going to burn out, and I'm either not going to get there or get there, have my goal, but what else have I actually got as a life, as an existence for it?
Yeah.
So I realised that I do need to balance personal and business and not just be the Guitar Ninja 24/7. So the plans for 1 year that I'd like to do is, I suppose a quick one for anybody that doesn't know the Guitar Ninja. Let's talk to the camera for a second. So the Guitar Ninja has a few different aspects to it. We have obviously this YouTube channel, very small, very new thing in comparison to the rest of the business, but hopefully will be a bigger thing now that the bear is here. So on top of that, we've got the Online Guitar Academy, which is a website that's got over 200 guitar video lessons. So obviously I had to put all the time into editing, filming, writing, editing, putting all those together, getting those on a website that's easy to use and navigate. So that took up a lot of time and is one aspect that's really, really good fun. Everyone that's used it has given me great compliments about it. And there's a free thing. Obviously, we're in a podcast. Let's plug it. So links will be down below. If you are watching this on YouTube, if you're listening on one of the podcast apps, hopefully there'll be a link in the description if that's possible. I'm still new to podcasts, so I don't know. But yeah, either way, the Online Academy, there's a whole free account to check out the first few courses and things like that. There's loads of gamified stuff on there. But that side, obviously, I want to push to get higher numbers on that, because if that gets high enough numbers, I can afford to keep you on going. And so for those that don't know, we're only on a 6-month contract at the moment, but that's basically until the pot of money runs out. So hopefully the pot of money, when it runs out, we've got other things coming in to keep you on board. So subscribe, keep him employed. And then the other side of the business, there are private lessons and group guitar clubs. So the idea for 1 year is for the academy to be big enough, have enough paid subscribed members doing the premium site that your wages are covered and a bit left over to continue the growth of the business. Well, that's the idea for 6 months' time.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end of the year, possibly even enough to hire somebody else that you can then be coaching and guiding under you. Then the clubs, I would like to get other guitar teachers on to run clubs. So I'm going to start looking for guitar teachers in the new year, around January time, in other towns, so that we can start guitar clubs in those towns. And then I'll be more of a support for them. And hopefully then find some to potentially take over the clubs I already run. But I do enjoy the clubs, so I think what I'll do is get other teachers running them on that weekly basis and do guest appearances at the classes to do like master classes. So then I can talk about the nerdy stuff with the advanced students, and that one appeals to me a bit more. When somebody comes to me going, I don't understand modal theory, or how do you sweep pick? By the time they've reached that level, I'm like, yes, let's get into the exciting nerdy level of technical guitar. And I won't have to do as much beginner stuff, but I know a lot of people bounce off of my character, and that's why the private lessons, I can't get another teacher to run those. In 1 year's time, I think I would still like to have my private students, but in 5-10 years' time, maybe not. Because I'd like the clubs to be busy enough and the academy to be busy enough that I don't need to dedicate 30 hours of teaching time every single week to private lessons. That's the biggest thing for me. It's the amount of time. I like to teach one-to-one, but especially the fact that nobody's free until 3 p.m. I've got to do from 3 till like 9:15 most nights. And then when I'm doing the daytime work with yourself on the business and then teaching in that evening, I still don't have a life, but I've managed to stop doing things on weekends. So I'm getting that balance back from where I was. But it's still Monday to Friday. I don't even have evening downtime really. So I think in a year's time, I'd like to have a better life-work balance. And I want to see more of the world, so I'd like the business to be at a stage where I can just go travelling for a month or two, and the clubs are being run by other teachers, the academy stuff's being run by you. I can do that, and then come back and help put out any fires that may have come up. Like, it's not leaving everyone to it and expecting it to all be done, but being able to take that break and not lose all of the income, because it's still the majority is that private lesson clubs that I run. I think that explained the goals enough for a year. I think that gave enough detail. That was a long answer.
I think it explained both the questions I was going to ask. I was going to ask what's your goals for the business and what's your goals for yourself.
So there's another personal goal. I'm currently learning Spanish. I would like in a year's time to be fluent and be able to have a sensible conversation. Part of the reason for that is the travel desire. After English, the most common spoke language by number of countries, I believe, is Spanish. I know by population it's probably Mandarin, but by number of countries, I believe it's Spanish. And I'd like to do the Central and Southern Americas where that's all based. So it would make travels a lot more convenient. I've got some crazy ideas and plans for the travels that tie in with guitar and with the Guitar Ninja as well. So perhaps cover those at some point, maybe in this blog, maybe later. But should we jump on to the next question for now? Because that one, I'm just going to ramble for ages.
So at this precise moment, what are you teaching in clubs? I think it'd be good to inform the people that are watching that what you do in clubs,
Satisfying. That's going to stay in the video, isn't it?
Probably. I'm going to zoom in on your face. I was like, satisfying, and then it's going to cut to the video.
That is perfectly fine. Okay, so what I'm currently teaching in the clubs at the moment, I've got 4 different clubs running. So we're in 2 different towns with both a kids club and an adult club in each. So I'll start by going through them town by town, I think, just because I think that works. So the Leighton Buzzard club, that's technically in Heath and Reach, which is a village just outside of Leighton, but it's like they touch. There's barely anything between them. So it's the Leighton Buzzard club. The kids group in that, we're currently doing some finger warm-ups, working on the Ninja Anthem, which is a little track that goes along with all the grades that we do. And I've got them working on Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day, we're working towards a stage performance. So the students are now getting to that point where they're playing along with the music. So the next few lessons, they'll start to do what the Northampton ones have already got to. So I'll explain that one when we get to the Northampton kids then. So warm-ups, Ninja Anthem, Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day. That's what they're working on right now. The adult club in Leighton Buzzard are working on Boulevard of Broken Dreams a little bit as well, actually. They were working on other songs, but there's quite a range in that club. We've got a couple of people that are teenagers, and we've got a few people that are retired. So that adult group has a massive range. Some of them are slightly more rocky metal, and some of them are very much blues. So we kind of do a finger warm-up, normally with a bit of a challenge, where we'll do a slow warm-up and we'll try and get faster and faster and faster, and people can see how fast they can get. And then that encourages them when they're practicing to try and beat their own speeds. Then from that finger warm-up, we then go into like the lesson stage, where we would do a song like Boulevard of Broken Dreams at the moment, but before that they were having a go at Bother by Stone Sour, because it gets them hammering on chords and doing little trill things, getting them used to using the capo. And then after that we go through a little bit of jam improvisation theory and do a jam as a group. And I pass around a wireless jack lead. I do have wipes and hand sanitizer and that for those that want to use it because of COVID. I don't enforce it, but I make sure the options are there for everybody. So then they have a go at doing lead one at a time. I try and start with those that are newer, so they don't feel embarrassed by going after the guy that shredded really well. So I kind of go in the newer to improvising to more, and I encourage everybody, but I don't force. So there was somebody on the club only this week, yesterday, that you could see really wasn't ready confidence levels to play in front of others. But what I was like was, okay, when we're jamming, keep yourself unplugged, but have a go for yourself and try and build that confidence. So I do work a lot on confidence, possibly even more than playing guitar with some of my students, because it's an important thing to develop and learn is self-confidence. And then, so the jam, I might be sitting there playing some blues stuff while some of the guys are playing their jam. I'll give it to the next person and be like, so what genre do you want? And if they say metal or funk, I'm going to try those styles. One of my students yesterday asked me to challenge them. So I was like, okay, done. Contemporary jazz in an unusual time signature. And I spent the whole time in my head trying to count the time signature because I was trying to be awkward to them. It was awkward for me as well. But it was fun little jazz. Okay, so that's the Leighton Buzzard. That's quite a lot to explain for just those. But it's okay. The Northampton ones follow a similar pattern. So the Northampton kids are also working on the Ninja Anthem and Boulevard of Broken Dreams. However, they've kind of reached a stage of playability now that I'm getting them ready for their stage presence. So make sure they're standing up when they're playing. See if they can move around a bit whilst they're playing. And can they keep playing during distraction? So I try and put them off. And if they can handle playing the song with me trying to put them off, they can handle anything on stage. Because I am the most annoying 5-year-old when I'm trying to put them off. Literally, we'll be midway there, I'll be sat down, they'll be playing. I won't let them know it's coming because I'll start by being quite quiet and then just suddenly and just throw it out because I want to distract them. And the best way to do that is through laughter, right? I want them to enjoy guitar clubs as well. So I find the best way of doing it is just making an absolute idiot of myself and turning into a 5-year-old. As if I'm not all the time. But even more so, turning myself into a 5-year-old. I take random weird instruments along with me and sometimes keep them hidden until they're doing the practice and then try and put them off. I only do this when I believe they are capable of it or if I believe they're going to make 1 or 2 mistakes. You know, mistakes are great. We should all make them. But you don't want it to knock your confidence. You want it to either build it or just be, oh, this is where I'm at right now. I'll be better next week. Distraction for the kids club in Northampton, and then the Northampton adults are more of the Northampton teens. That doesn't have the same range. We don't have the pensioners in that group at the moment. We used to before COVID, but the clubs really changed their feel over Zoom call and we lost members, and I completely understand. I wouldn't wanted to have been a member of the clubs at that time paying for them, I don't think. But now we're back to face-to-face, hopefully we'll start getting that energy back. It really has started to feel like that in the room. So just need to see if any of those old members feel it, or if we just look for new. There are a few that I miss, really friendly chaps. But yeah, so that group now, I have challenged them so much. Yeah. They're not just doing Boulevard of Broken Dreams, they are doing a Pantera song. They're having to go with Cowboys from Hell, trying to play from start to finish. And as you reminded me just a minute ago, they were working on trying to get pinch harmonics. Now, I don't know if you're a guitarist watching or listening to this, but if we take guitar techniques and we put like beginner, intermediate, advanced, really difficult, God level, like pinch harmonics are that hardest level you can get of technique. Once you've got them, they're not too bad to keep getting. It's kind of like riding a bike, but getting them is hard work, and there's a lot of horrendous noises that have to happen. So I made sure it was only the last 10 minutes of the club. We weren't going to do a whole club of hearing like you're going to zoom in on my face on that.
Most likely.
Oh, okay, so that's what we're doing at the clubs at the moment, is getting everyone ready for the performance. So they're working on their own individual songs. The Late and Buzzard adult group, I believe there's only 1 or 2 members interested in performing in that group, which is why we're not working on anything super difficult, because I don't want to force all the members to have to spend the next 12 weeks working on one song. Yeah. It's not that long, actually. It's only another 5 or 6 before the performance. Jeez. I've got some planning to do on that. But yeah, so that I don't want to force those members that aren't performing it to spend that many weeks working on the same thing. Because if you're not working towards something, doing the same thing for 6 weeks feels boring. But if you're working towards something, it doesn't. It's like, yeah, come on, I can get this better. And if a student finds that they can play something 6 weeks before performance, handle standing up, handle distraction, I'm going to be like, okay, stage presence things. Can you play with the guitar behind your head? Can you play it whilst walking around in a figure of 8? I had a student the other day walking here for private lessons around 2 bins in a figure of 8 while trying to play along with the music. And if he missed a note, I hit that vibra-slap weird instrument that I've got. Obviously tried to put him off more and made him laugh, and he went with so much like joy. He was laughing as he left the room, and it's great because it gets them better at stage. It gets them more confident, and I enjoy teaching them as well because I get to just have a bit of a laugh. So yeah, the clubs are all working towards performances apart from the Late and Buzzard adults, but there's a few that are still potentially doing it. Okay, I've been rambling. Let's just jump into the next question. I'm not sure where that went.
So the next question I have for you is, what is the difference between clubs and private lessons?
Good point. So private lessons is literally just that. It's one-on-one focused lessons that last 40 minutes. We do the same sorts of things, but you will learn a bit more physical ability. It will be definitely 100% tailored to the level that you are right at, giving you that one step above. So there is definitely a benefit in your ability to learn and understand music as well as play. The clubs, however, have that social interaction and build your confidence. You may end up finding that you're doing things that fit the club feel more than just your personal. So there'll be some people that, like I said, with the adult Late and Buzzard club, we've got both bluesy people and metal people. So the club, I try and do some bluesy, some metal, so you get an experience of both. Whereas if you're in a private lesson and you go, I'm just a metal fan, we will focus on metal, so you might miss some of the blues. So actually you might get more out of the clubs depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
But the clubs also last a bit longer, and they're slightly cheaper because you're splitting. Yeah. That attention is split. Okay. So they all have a finger warm-up, they all have some theory lesson, some playing lesson, some practice time. The club's just more social, fun way of doing it, really. That's pretty much the main difference. Okay. The quality of progression the students makes isn't that different between club and private lessons if they put in the practice. Yeah. This is the big thing, is people think they're going to learn more from private lessons than they do the clubs, and that's only the case if they put in the same amount of practice as those doing the clubs or whatever. So actual development of your guitar playing and music understanding, there isn't a difference if people put in the work.
Okay, that's fair enough. which like brings me up to my next point. Yeah, so for you are a self-taught guitarist, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I was wondering if when you were younger, when you were learning, do you wish you had something like you were giving to people?
I would love to have had the clubs. The kind of private lessons that I teach, I would also have liked. I did dabble with some teachers. I had a few lessons with an old guy in Leighton Buzzard, Don McLeod. Lovely guy, loved to talk guitar with him and spend time with him, but he wasn't my kind of teacher. He was a folk country kind of style player. And he was the traditional way. Taught me some standard chords, tried to get me playing along with some songs with some full chords straight away, like acoustic style. But I was interested in things that were a bit more extreme and exciting. So being taught on an acoustic guitar how to play 3 or 4 chords just didn't... Yeah. It didn't draw me enough, so I only had a few lessons with him and stopped. But the thing... My favourite way to teach and how I would have liked to have learned. So this is why I've tried to create what I wanted. And as a teacher, it's also my favourite. Is I want to teach people that are passionate, which I was, and I want to make sure that what I'm teaching them is what they want to learn. So my favourite way to teach, and what I don't see happen elsewhere, is I want a student to come in with questions.
Yeah.
100%, because if they're asking me questions, they've got the passion to look into these things in the first place. They want to know the answers, so I'm not forcing them to learn Wonderwall where they want to learn Slayer. You know what I mean? So I feel that that's kind of what's there that I wish I had. I wish I had that teacher that would just feed some passion and then answer certain questions or whatever. Now, I kind of had that without having it. My brother-in-law that I've mentioned many times, anyone that sees me talk about guitar will know that I bring him up a lot. He would, as a kid, I'd be playing guitar, he'd be playing some guitar with me, and he'd be like, have you tried this? And he'd give me something that's that much harder than I was currently capable of. So I always had that little push, and because we were both into metal, he was a technical guitarist. He liked the challenge. And I enjoyed the challenge. So there was never, oh, have you tried playing the chords in a different order? I'm like, I can already play the chords, that would bore me. Right? It was, have you ever tried to do a pinch harmonic? Have you tried to do arpeggios? This little finger exercise, can you get your little finger fast enough to do it? Because everyone suffers with lazy little fingeritis at some point.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's the main thing. And then the clubs, just guitar social time. Like, I created the clubs in the first place without any concept of, are they going to be lessons? They were, let's get together and talk guitar and jam.
Yeah.
And they've just developed into having a lesson section, a practice session, a social section. Then when lockdown happened, it had to be online. The social and the play couldn't happen as much, so it just turned into like lecture music theory lesson because lag and latency, we couldn't even play at the same time. There was just nothing we could do. So since lockdown, it's very much kept a strong lesson chunk feel to it, while still being a social jam. So I think it would be nice to bring it back to more social, actually. Because that's what I was more interested in when I started. But for those who aren't paying themselves, but parents are paying, they see the lesson as worth. They see the social playing around as a bonus, not actual value. So I think the kids' club needs to be lessons and social, and the adults' club could be lessons and social.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I've been to one of your clubs. I helped you pack up and everything. I got outplayed by some kids.
They've been playing for a while. Don't knock yourself.
Yeah, no, I have no issue. I was like watching the kid next to me play, and I was just like, I can't even do that. And it is very social, and I really like the vibe of it. I mean, when I first started learning guitar myself, when I was teaching myself, I would have loved to come to something like that. Yeah. Because it's very social. Everyone seems really nice there, especially the adult club. I feel like I fit in there quite nicely, even though I looked very antisocial. But yeah, they all seem really nice.
It's a similar style of music you've got to the Northampton adults as well.
Oh yeah.
So they definitely fit in well there. Yeah, there are times, because of how social I am and they are, there are times where I go, I really need to make sure I'm teaching you something today, guys, because we'll get 20 minutes in and we've been chatting guitar, and it will be about music and things like that, and it's feeding the passion, so I see it as a good thing. But a lot of the ones in the Northampton are young enough, it's still their parents paying for their memberships, not themselves.
Yeah.
So I need to be like, look, we need to make sure that you're going away with a physical thing to show your parents you have learned.
Yeah.
So that sometimes I have to catch myself because they are such a social bunch. But it's just that feeding the passion. Like, the amount of them that come back and go, yeah, I've been working on this week. And it's like, sweet, I didn't show you it. You've gone off your own back and done it. I like that. Other teachers will be like, well, that's not what we're doing at the moment. And I'm definitely not about that. I'm like, look, go off, do whatever you think is right for you, and come back to me with those questions, things that you want to know. I can't get this technique. What does this bit of tab actually mean? Like, they're the best things for me. Yeah. Where was I going? I'm rambling again. Just go to the next question.
That's no problem.
Or did I not answer that one?
No, you definitely answered it. So, how long have you actually been teaching guitar? Like, even before you started Guitar Ninja, were you teaching beforehand?
Yes. So, okay, this one, there's 3 answers, but they're all legitimate answers. So the first one is, at 14 years old, I got asked to start teaching a friend at school. I don't know if they were a friend at the time or if they were just the younger sister of a friend. But either way, like, friends, that's all that was. And I was charging stupidly little.
Yeah.
I think I was charging £5 for either half an hour or an hour or something crazy like that. But I was at full-time school, I was 14. An extra £5 every week was 5 big bags of Haribo. Win. That was all that I cared about at the time. Then I either had other people ask, they recommended people, or I decided I would try and find a few more. I don't really remember. But that grew to me having like 3 or 4 every single week from as young as 14. And there were times where it would dip down and times where it would pick back up. It's a bit hazy now, to be fair. My long-term memory isn't great. I think that's a family trait, though. But yeah, so 3 or 4 all the way through to 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. So during all that time doing that part-time, I finished school, I got fully qualified up as an electrical engineer. I worked as an assistant testing signal antennas for Orange Telecom. That was really cool. I got to run up pylons. In fact, your actual name and my nickname were pretty much on point, because my boss used to be like, just send the ferret up. Because I'd just run up these pylons, get the test results and run back down like a little ferret. So that was his nickname for me. So I would do that. Then got fully qualified and worked on trains for like 8 years. I was in engineering. Went to uni with it and everything. Got made redundant 3 times within a 2-year period. And was like, I never enjoyed being an engineer. I enjoyed being a nerd and understanding the uni side, but the actual job, I worked for companies where I was just a number replacing things.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't creative, I wasn't giving my solutions to problems or ideas. I've always had the entrepreneur brain but didn't know what to do with it. So I was like a sheep that wanted to be something else. So after that 3rd redundancy, I was doing something I hated because it's safe, but it's not safe. So why don't I do something I love? Because, okay, it might not be safe, but nor's this. You know? And worst case scenario, I'm a qualified engineer. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to engineering. Sure. So yeah, that happened in I think the 3rd redundancy was around 2017? Something like that. I think it was 2017 I went sole trader, self-employed, teaching full-time.
Oh, okay.
I got a couple of engineering contracts thrown in those first little times, so the business kind of grew, but I didn't push it that much because I managed to get a really good, tasty engineering contract, working 2 days a week, that pretty much covered all the bills itself. Yeah. So then teaching was just extra money. So did I really want to work all of my life? Yeah. At that point, I had a better work-life balance than I do now, but I'm passionate about the business even more now, so I'm happy. Then 2018, so these are the dates. So when I was 14, whatever year that would have been, 20-something, 2005, I guess, was when I started teaching. That's how long ago it is. Then at 2017-ish, I went self-employed. August 2018, the Guitar Ninja was officially a thing because that's when the first grading happened. I was going to try and launch it for my birthday in the May before that August, but the whole website, vet the people that you hire and employ even as contractors. That was a whole nightmare. But hey, it's done, dusted. New website guy. I'm in just bliss. But anyway, he let me down, so that delayed it. By August, he still didn't have my website up. But I did the first grading and went, I'm just going to launch now. This is the Guitar Ninja launching with all the grading syllabus. A kind of online course website, but nowhere near what we have now. Nowhere near what it is now. It was just a few tutorial videos. But like, here's all the beginner stuff. Now you know enough. Do you want to join the clubs? Almost was what the first the first website was. So that was in 2018. And then the most official new date that you could also say is a start date is the 2nd of June. June. It's on the board. I think it's June. On the 2nd of J month, this year, it turned into a limited company. Okay. So officially, the Guitar Ninja Limited, only a few months old. It's only a few months old. Damn. And then obviously the 19th of this month, by the time you're watching this, maybe last month, that could also be classed as the first time I have an employee. Feels like a very big milestone to me. So could even be when it goes from being a sole trader to a business, even though it was already limited. It changes the feel of the company a bit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So there you go. Could be 2005, 2017, 2018, 2021, whichever date you want to take.
I'll take them all. It's fine. Should we move on to the next question?
I'll hopefully be able to answer this in less sentences.
Well, this is a complicated question.
Oh, okay, right.
Complicated question.
I don't know why I'm holding this mic. It's empty. Go.
You might want to take some time on this one.
Okay.
Who are you as a person?
Who am I as a person? An overgrown man-child. A creative, passion-obsessed, but still weirdly scientific person, so my brain argues with itself. My biggest internal dilemma is that logic and facts and science, I love them and I love everything to be black and white. And the answer is yes or no. The answer is 4. Whatever it is, which is why I hated English at school. Because why is the door green? Because it's green. Because it was painted green. Why do you need a different answer? But, it means that they're talking about the calm fluid. I'm like, no it doesn't. The author thought the door should be green, right? I never understood English because there were 27,000 answers for the same question that all could be right. And I got A once every now and then in English, and I got E's. And I wouldn't have a clue what made one worth one and one worth the other. Unless there was an obvious spelling mistake or grammatic mistake, right? I understood that. Because again, there's logic. You finish sentences with a full stop. You start them with a capital. I can follow that rule. It's black and white. But I loved maths and science. Because the answer's always one factual answer.
No, yeah, true.
2 plus 2 is 4. That's just the way it is. And even when we went to uni and they started talking about imaginary numbers, yes, things you actually use in engineering maths to calculate things, it still actually made sense once I'd got to the foundation understanding of it. But then there's my creative side. And you'd think that they don't really merge that well because creativity is about you do just what feels right, or you're creating from scratch. There's no rules in creativity at all. Like, there's a rule if you want to put out something that's a generically welcomed sound. You can follow a rule of, well, if I put these chords together, it will sound like a good pop song. If I throw some distortion on and I put these notes together, it's going to sound like metal. So there's bases. So, who I am at the core, number 1, I like science, fact, order and structure. But number 2, I like to be creative and playful. And that sounds like it's 2 very contradiction things. But this is where my music works because I like the technical challenge and to understand how music works. So I dive into that nerdy, deep how do the frequencies relate to each other, and why does our brain process these two sounds as nice together and these two as not? And things like that. And I like to go into that level of nerdiness. When I'm improvising, jamming and writing, I see all music theory as like a skeleton.
Yeah.
You need that skeleton to have the structure of a being, but how you flesh it out and what colour hair it has and whatever is down to you.
Yeah.
So I suppose I like to be creative, but with that foundation of rule underneath it. I guess that's the best way of saying who I am. And I think I treat that in life as well. Like, as long as there's a purpose to me being silly, I'll be silly, you know? I mean, anyone that's watched half of my YouTube videos will know that I have this, like, professional, and then, where did this come from? Like, why has he now got a really weird orange bobble hat on and jumping into a cardboard box? I was getting facts about music a second ago. I do like the motto, grow up when you have to, grow down when you can. I don't know if I heard it elsewhere or if I processed that myself. I think of it as my own, but maybe I heard it elsewhere.
Maybe.
But grow up when I have to, grow down when I can, means that I pay my bills, I keep on top of that. But then the second that I can build a rock wall for my garden, or mess around on my trampoline, or make the kids laugh by rolling around on the floor whilst making duck noises because I'm trying to put them off, like, that's all part of who I am as well.
That's good to be like that. It's good to be creative, but not chaotic creative, you know what I mean?
Yes, I know a lot of creative people that cannot be on top of paying a mortgage.
Yeah.
You know, and I like the fact that I have that balance. Although sometimes I feel I put too much pressure on myself to be on top of everything. And I don't know if that's because I want to break the stereotype on what a creative person is. And be like, no, I can make it as a musician and be on top of my finances. I don't know if there's a little stubborn part of me or not. Like, I question myself a lot. Nowadays, since the Guitar Ninja. Because I wanted to develop the business, and in developing the business where I was the main body in it, I then wanted to start developing myself. And in doing so, I started to question, well, why do I believe this? Why do I think like this? And to ask me who I truly am to the core, I've analysed so much now that actually it's possibly even harder to answer because I'm questioning a lot all the time. Obviously, I've mentioned that I do my retreats. Don't worry too much about that. But I spend a week away where I look after where I look into what I want, who I am, what I believe. And every time I've come back from those, I know that some of my core values are honesty, making sure that I put those around me before making profits, but also treat myself with as much respect as I want to treat others with. We're very quick to turn around to a friend and be like, you can do this, and then turn around to ourselves and say, I'm pretty shit. Again, YouTube, I'm pretty rubbish. So, you know what I mean? So it's trying to remember that I am also people, and if I try and treat myself like I would a friend or a family member, I treat myself better. But yeah, core values, obviously that honesty, people first, things like that. That kind of helps show who I am. I like to be a role model on top of things. But sometimes I've, again, balanced that too far away from my creative side. That there's still a little bit of imbalance that I don't know.
Well, only time will tell, really.
You know what we're going to have to do, because obviously this podcast is you interviewing me, but we're going to have to do one the other way, and that I'm going to try and remember to ask that exact same question back. Because I think it's only good. I mean, this video is to introduce you, and at the moment, and obviously the feel of it is more giving answers from me, but it's great. It's helping you understand the business and the person you work for. Yeah,
100%. Making me see who you are as a person, as a boss, and how you see things around here. It's nice to get that interpretation.
Yeah.
It also makes you feel like we're on the same page about a lot of things. So it makes you feel more comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable. No, I completely get that. I mean, this is why when it came to the video editing, I was like, right, I'm going to show you a few things and just leave you to it. Because the best way to use creativity is to play around. And I was like, look, even if it ends up being rubbish at the moment, you know, God, everyone's first attempt at playing a song on guitar is terrible until they've practiced. Everyone's first attempt at editing a video. If you're on YouTube at any point, 30-second challenges,
Yeah.
was one of my first YouTube channels. It looks like it was filmed on a potato under the worst lighting with some weird salmon wool backdrop. I don't know what I was doing, but at the same time it's kind of silly and playful and part of that side of me, so I've left it on YouTube. So 30-second challenges, Rory. There's a channel somewhere with still over 100 subscribers somehow, filmed on a potato. But that's exactly where your first video edits are 1,000 times better than mine. Now, is that because I'm leaning over your shoulder helping you? Probably a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it still also shows that you've already started to put those thought processes in.
Yeah, 100%. And that was doing that video last week was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like this. It's just like, I was like, some of these bits are really repetitive and annoying me.
Yes, when you're editing a video, you will hear the same sentence 100 times when you realise the crop just isn't right.
Yeah.
And you're like, fade transition, no, that's not right, I'm just going to cut it one. And then you realise that all you needed to do was you've ended the sentence and you've started the noise of the next word and you've not cropped the out. And it's ruined the whole thing. You're like, all I need to do is one frame in and the whole thing seems smooth. And it's just, yes, I get that. So you've had that battle now of loads of video clips on one camera.
Yeah.
We now have a 3-camera setup. So you've got a whole new lesson with this one. Cool. Let's jump on to
the next question. As a guitarist, as a guitar teacher, and as you as a person, who do you look up to?
Okay. Interesting questions there. Okay. So as a guitarist, I look up to my brother-in-law that I've mentioned many, many times. I look up to, if you're talking famous guitarists, I very much look up to Sinister Gates from Avenged Sevenfold. His speed and technicality is amazing. And Zachy, don't ever forget that if you're an Avenged Sevenfold fan, how amazing Zach is. Left-handed player that keeps up and harmonises with Sin all the time. And if he was in any other band without Sinister right next to him, he would be praised as a guitar god. But because he's next to Sin, when you're the second best god, they don't see you as much of a god. But he is amazing at guitar. So I look up to both of those two as a pair. Obviously Dimebag was a god in the guitar world. I mean, I do also look up to those that can make simplicity sound amazing. There is something to be said about B.B. King, simple blues player. I say simple. You could learn the notes very easily, but people, if you don't know how to put your emotion into your music, it won't sound like him. Yeah, you need to play from the heart to get that feel. And I've heard so many people try playing his songs robotically, and it's just not there. So there's those. So that's guitar-wise, I'd say. You said guitarist, personal. What was the other one? You gave me 3 titles. Are you not sure?
I'm not sure, but as a person.
Okay, so as a person, I have a lot of respect for actually one of my students.
Oh, really?
I won't say their name, but I have actually said to them personally about this as well. They have this balance in life that I just don't get. They have a really lovely family. Like, his wife and his 2 kids are just so nice as people, and the kids are so well mannered and brought up that I just respect him as a husband and father, first of all. Secondly, his attitude towards his guitar playing and the speed he's progressed, he's, I mean, this will give it away to anybody in the Guitar Ninja anyway, he's going to be going for his black strap at the next performance. Like, he's literally, if he gets it, which I'm pretty sure he will, he'll be the first Guitar Ninja black strap student.
Damn.
And I have had another one that reached brown strap and then stopped having lessons because of lockdown, and they've not got back in contact. And I've made it clear that they can come back, but I'm not that kind of pushy person. But yeah, so potentially the first black strap. So his attitude towards guitar to get there, obviously, I respect. He then has a good career path. He's on top of his work. He's always well presented. And well mannered. He always seems to have energy and be alive. I've never seen him in that mindset. And then he also plays golf and gets plenty of time doing that and is passionate. And it's like, how can you have your career, 2 hobbies, your family life, your presentability, your all all of it at this right level of balance where nothing is left under-maintained. And it's like, I respect it for two reasons. Mm-hmm. One, because he's got that balance in the first place. Two, because I have had that balance for a length of time before I reach a burnout of being on top of everything. But he seems to have found that balance in a way that he could do it forever. And be content with that. I mean, if I get into a routine for too long, I lose being content. You know, I need change and things. But I don't know, he's just got this ability to be on top of each pocket from how I visually see it. You know, I'm sure behind closed doors there's days where he doesn't feel that, or that it isn't that way, because nobody has that full time.
Yeah.
And when I say it, it's like, I appreciate that. Like, he shows hints of like, I tried to be on top, but I don't feel I always am. I'm like, well, even if you're not, the level you've reached is impressive. And then I also respect people like Stevie T and Jared Dines and Rob Scallon and these YouTube guitar bodies, especially those that produce songs for their YouTube videos.
Oh, yeah.
Writing the song, recording all the layers, producing the music, mixing it and mastering, then filming the videos, then editing those videos to the quality that they do, doing all the things around the songs for the intros, outros, and keeping the video entertaining, and managing to get one of those out every week or every so often to that level of quality and spec. Like, I mean, I know that a lot of those are full-time YouTubers and don't have a full-time job on the side, but they had to get to that point.
Yeah.
So to be able to fit all of that into such a short period of time and do it consistently again, I think I just respect people that consistently stay on top of things are also done to a good quality and standard. Because, you know, I could every day put out a post, but it could be picture of a guitar. And do that every single day. That's consistency, but I don't really have much respect for it.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, people that can entertain consistently in that spec, yeah.
I just hadn't thought about, what about a businessman? Because obviously you're a businessman, man. You own the Guitar Ninja.
Okay.
You have your first employee. As a businessman, who inspires you?
A couple of the cameras just died. So your last question was who do I respect or look up to in the business world? So I've spoken about guitarists, I've spoken about personal, and I've spoken about the YouTube guitar world as well.
Yeah.
Okay, this might be a bit contradictory in sound, but because some people love these people, some people don't, and that's the problem with people that are big and famous in the world of business. You've got those that adore them, those that think that they're greedy, corporate, evil. And I don't know, I've kind of got a weird balance. So I do really like Richard Branson. People will knock him, and obviously I heard there was some conflict with the NHS and him, and whatever happened in that I don't understand. So that whoever's listening, watching, bear in mind that I'm talking just from personal knowledge. I might disagree with some things, but in total, things that I respect about him, if he wants to do something, and he thinks it's cool, he'll do it. You know, the fact that he decided, I'm going to start an airline, just because once upon a time a flight got cancelled and he realised he could rent an aircraft and a pilot, and get everybody that was waiting in the airport to chip in, they could afford to do the flight. And from there just went, I'm also going to make these fun. Instead of being, can I be the cheapest to win, he was like, can it be the most fun? And his flights were about partying to start with. I think you could start a business as party flights. It's kind of, and it's pick up to be a professional business that's grown to the size it has is what impresses me.
Oh yeah.
You know,
definitely.
a party company that stays a small party company, fair enough. But I'm impressed with that. The fact that he was like, I'm going to do a record label because that's cool. And then from there, jumps into something else and something else and something else. Virgin having their experience days. So you can pay to race cars around Silverstone or go on a hot air balloon or do a skydive, and they're all packaged together deals. There's plenty of other companies that do this, like Red Letter Days and things like that as well. But again, it's just a sign that Richard Branson himself goes, I want that to be a thing, so I'm going to make it a thing.
Yeah.
I respect him for that, and I think it's that fun side he shows. Like, I like Elon Musk as well for his, you know what, I just want to shoot a car into space to say that I have. I've built a car and I threw it into space. Look at that. And, like, I mean, I understand the negatives of people seeing that as, well, all of those materials that you needed to mine, potentially damaging the planet, all of the building, the energy needed and the staffing needed, and then just to throw it into space to basically litter it, okay, into space that is like an infinite whatever, but it's still, I can understand why people don't like some of the things Elon Musk does.
Right.
And he definitely is one of those characters that falls between the balance of, like, genius and crazy.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
And there are many things about him that are messed up. I wouldn't want to be Elon Musk.
No.
But I do like the way that he'll go about things. I think I respect that all-in attitude. I mean, again, there's so many conspiracy theories and stuff around Bill Gates.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But all of the charity work and stuff that he does and things that he puts in, if you actually look into things and don't believe the stereotype, like the conspiracy stuff, I've got a lot of respect for that guy. More as a wealthy person that invests in all these charities and trying to improve the planet than as a business person with Microsoft. Yeah, so I think they're the main bodies. Obviously, there'll be probably plenty more if I thought about it. I don't like Sir Alan Sugar. Lord Alan. What is he now?
Lord? Yeah, I think it's Lord now.
I don't even understand the orders of those things, to be fair. That sounds a bit disrespectful, not knowing. Maybe I should look into it. But it's never had to affect me personally. But yeah, either way, I don't... As a businessman, maybe I have some respect for him, but another reason why I like Richard Branson is his direct staff. Okay, the people that are 5 or 6 managers of the chain down might not be treated as well, but his attitude is, my customers don't come first, my staff do, because if they're treated right, they'll treat the customers right.
Yep.
You know, so it's like indirectly the customers should be treated well, but my staff come first, and I respect that, which is why, if you notice, I'm very much constantly checking that you are comfortable with things. It's not, I'm the boss, you'll do as I say, because who wants to work in that situation?
True.
And Alan Sugar comes across as the kind of guy that says, you either get this right or you get out.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm not interested in being that kind of boss. So he might make good money, he might have good decisions, but yeah, I don't really respect.
That's understandable.
That side of him.
Should we move on to the next question?
Let's do it.
I've got.
Have we got short questions? Can we quick fire around, or are these likely to be long things? If you're not sure, let's just go for them, and I'll try and be quick myself. Condensed.
Okay, so this one should be not so long. The next one's going to be long.
Okay, cool.
It's a bit of an explanation. So, what do you look for in an employee?
Passion.
Passion
And mindset. You didn't need to have any skill sets whatsoever. In fact, I think in the interview, you were like, you didn't even mention that you'd had a YouTube channel before.
Oh, yeah.
You hadn't even mentioned that in the interview, but you mentioned doing your art. And you mentioned that you'd gone from doing it from pencil onto digital. You didn't mention tablet, but you mentioned digital. So in my head, I still went, okay, you've got your creativity, you took that next step. You also mentioned that you dabbled in music. You showed that you've got you showed your tattoos for the bands that you liked and things. So I went, okay, so this guy's got passion, and he's doing something. Even if it's just playing around with your own art, and even if you just see it as playing around, whatever you see it as, it doesn't matter. You're doing it. You aren't the kind of person then that's just sitting there staring at a box.
Yeah.
You showed a willingness to learn, and with the passion, a do attitude. They're the two things: do and passion. Skill sets. If you've got a do and passion, you can learn things, right? So skills didn't matter to me anywhere near as much, and I don't think ever really will. With the guitar teacher, bit different. They do need to be of a level where they can respond to things. So when I hire people to run clubs, they need a guitar foundation skill set. But no, in total, passion and willingness to learn are the people. Who gets anywhere without those things? Like if I turn around to somebody and their answer is, well, I go to my day job, I do what I have to, I come home, I stare at a box on the wall, and then I go to bed. Alright, is there anything you're passionate about in that? You know, I I couldn't be content with that life, so I don't think I want to be around people that will be content with that. It's not that I've actually got a problem with that mindset. People have that, and that is completely fine. I just won't want to work with people like that.
Oh no, 100%. Honestly, I agree. I don't want to stare at a box all the time. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna write.
I've totally got more comfy with that in a relationship. But it's less about staring at the box, and it's the spending time with the partner that I'm enjoying. If I was back to being single and alone in the evenings, the TV would very rarely ever be turned on. But it's actually quite nice in the evening to wind down and do that. So I'm not anti-TV as much as I used to be.
Yeah.
But there's still, where's that bit of time on your own for your own skill or passion or development?
100%. We'll go on to the next question because this one is going to be quite long.
Long question time.
Because I would like to know, what was it like hiring through Kickstarter?
Okay, cool. So for those that aren't aware, the Kickstarter scheme is one that the government is running to help people that are in risk of becoming long-term unemployed to get work. That's the actual definition of it. Yeah. So there are big companies out there that have taken on hundreds of Kickstarters. The government is assisting in funding their wages and their setup costs and things like that. So for a lot of big companies, a lot of Kickstarters are, this is practically free labour and we can get a load of it for 6 months. Let's do it. So there are companies out there, especially like big warehouse ones, that have just taken on a load of Kickstarters. They don't need any skills or qualifications whatsoever. They just need to be willing to pick up some boxes and move them where they're meant to for their job. Done. So the Kickstart scheme for those that are likely to be unemployed is really good. For the big companies that are taking on loads of them, I feel like those that are being hired by them might not actually get more employability out of it. They just get 6 months experience of being a number in a big corporation, which isn't a nice insight into what a job should be, in my personal opinion. I mean, I worked for Amazon. If I had to go back there and I had no other options, I'd live out my van instead. That is how much I did not like that. Okay, so for me personally then, how was it going through the Kickstarter? Making sure, because I've never employed before, this is also more than just the Kickstarter for me. So for other people that have already employed, the Kickstarter is apply for it, get approved, confirm that the person started, and Bob's your uncle, you'll see the money once you've proved that you've paid for things. As such, you can claim it back. To a certain level, it's not that high. I would love to have bought you a new computer that can handle 8K, 200 frames. You know, that would have been beautiful, but yeah, they didn't. It's not that nice, unfortunately. In fact, almost all your setup cost went into that laptop. So, no, from that, for me then, I had to think about, right, I haven't got any employee liability insurance that you need to legally have to have staff. So I had to try and work out how much is that, how do I get that in, and how do I get it in place for when you start. I didn't even know what kind of insurance brokers did that, you know, I had no idea. I don't have a contract of employment in place, so I had to completely from scratch get that in. So it was I had to learn a lot in a very short period of time, and not just learn, but commit to things.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't start because something else came up, say you got another job opportunity through Kickstart elsewhere and you decided to take that, well, I didn't have a second person lined up. I enjoyed your interview enough that I was like, hands down, you're the guy I'm going for. So I had to commit to getting a contract of employment, grievance and disciplinary things in place, insurances in place, get the laptop and stuff ready for your start date and all of this, all without really knowing if you were going to start. And if you didn't start, none of that money was coming back.
Oh yeah.
Because Kickstart would have been like, but they've not started working for you. So it was a leap of faith to some level, because the bigger companies can afford to not, and they can just replace somebody so quickly, probably, with the numbers that they're hiring. They'll be like, look, we'll just take anyone on. Whereas obviously for me, like I said earlier, you're 50% of my workforce now. If you weren't good or interested in the job, it would be a bigger problem for me than it would another employee for Clipper.
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, so yeah, for me, I guess the biggest thing was a big learning crash course, a leap of faith. It was quite stressful. The most stressful was one piece of information that they thought I had weeks before wasn't given to me. I had to chase for it, and then the information came at the end of the day where I had you and my mum here working as a cleaner, but actually working. First day cleaning, your second or third day here working.
Yeah.
And I had to try and get my own things done whilst being the good boss that didn't just say, get it done and leave you to it.
Yeah.
I was just so overwhelmed that day. And then at the end of the day, getting a bit of information saying, oh, you should have had this weeks ago, and if you don't, you might not get the funding. I'm like, I can't afford not to have the funding. I've already spent all the money. So yeah, I wish that hadn't happened. But that was kind of out of my control as such, because I'm going through a thing called a gateway, which is another company that sorts as much of it out for you. They're meant to take all the stress away, which is why that one email at that time of day was like, we're going to run out of time. That's flashing at us. So, have we got another question at all? Because that's pretty much all the Kickstart was before, like leading up to the employment, was just that. It was just learning and stress and leaps of faith.
Well, I think that's enough questions today, since we have been recording for over an hour now, apparently.
Jesus! Have fun editing.
Oh, yeah, I will.
I mean, it's a good lesson for you.
100%. So, what should we say to the outro?
So, obviously, you've heard us talk about the Guitar Ninja plenty, because that's what we are. If you're interested in learning stuff, then the first thing you can do is check out the Guitar Ninja Academy for free. You've got access to everything apart from the intermediate and advanced courses for free. So you can sign up to that link below. And if you enjoy it enough, then premium's available. You get access to everything else. So check that one out in the links below. Obviously, you can see us wearing some awesome t-shirts. These are available, links below as well, in all sorts of colours. So if you are a ninja, you can get your graded colour. If you're interested in clubs or lessons and you're close in England, Northampton, Milton Keynes, Leighton Buzzard areas, then by all means throw us a message or check it out on the website as well. Same link as the Academy, you can check that one out below, and you can actually book a free taster session if it's the clubs you're interested in. Obviously, if you haven't already and you've made it this far into such a long video, why haven't you subscribed and hit the thumbs up? Leave us a comment, let us know if you've got any questions you'd like to know about me or the bear, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Yes, we do get back to every single comment, unless there's nothing to reply. If you've just sent a random emoji, what are we going to do?
True. Send another random emoji.
Probably. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. And yeah, if you enjoy this podcast style interview thing, we shall interview back.
Yep.
And then potentially find clear topics to interview about as well going forwards.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, just let us know in the comments what you prefer from this channel. If you enjoyed this, but actually you prefer more guitar serious lessons or more playful stuff, like they're as much your channel as they are ours, because there's no point in us making it if you're not watching. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll catch you in a new video soon. Bye!